To make the ring, we've got two different wires here, two different thicknesses. The thick wire is 14 gauge and the thin wire is 26 gauge, and they're both silver plated wire. And we've got a freshwater pearl. This is a 12 millimeter coin shaped pearl, which means it's flat and round, and it's drilled through this way. For tools, we have a jewelry hammer and a jeweler's bench block, which is basically like a little metal anvil. And we've got chain nose pliers and wire cutters. We also have a fat Sharpie, and that's for a special trick we'll show you. To make the ring, the first thing we want to do is cut a piece of the thick wire. This is the 14 gauge wire. The gauges on wire, the number gets smaller as the wire gets thicker. So 14 gauge is a low number but a fat piece of wire. And we cut this piece to about a 5.25 inches. And the way you can figure out the length is you can take a string and wrap it around your ring finger, and you'll want to go around 2 times. So you've got, well, it keeps flipping around on me, but you can see you want to go around 2 times like that, and you'll end up with wire that wraps around like this ring does, with one end here all the way around once and then one end here. Cut your little piece of string. You can measure it and write it down for future reference that that's how long you'll make this ring, or you can just lay this string against your wire like this and wrap it around until you get to the end, and then that's where you want to cut it. So that's how I figured out how to cut this piece of wire so it'll be the right length for my ring finger. The next thing we want to do is hammer the ends flat. Right now the ends are kind of blunt cut with the wire cutters, and they're a little bit sharp, but if we hammer them with the jewelry hammer here on the bench block, we can make a nice little paddle shape. So I'm just going to hit this a few times. I've put the bench block here on top of a mouse pad. It's upside down, so the rubbery side is up. This is going to keep this from slipping around. It also takes some of the bang out of the hammering. And the bench block we just got at a jewelry supply store. So I'm going to hammer this. And I'm using the flat end of this hammer because I want to flatten that edge of the wire down. It's getting flat, but I'd like it a little bit flatter. So altogether that was about 10 hits. And you can see it's round here, and then it flattens out, it widens a little bit. And that's going to be nice for the ends of our ring. So I'm going to do the other side here. This is the other cut side. And I'm not trying to straighten this wire out to work with it. I'm going to end up curling it or to make it into a ring. I don't want to bend it and unbend it a lot of times. It makes it hard. It actually hardens the silver, and it just might get a little out of shape that way. So I'm just leaving it. This is the shape it was in when I took it off of the coil here, and I'm just going to hold it so that the end is on the bench block. This can just sit up that way. I'm going to hit it just like I did the other side. That's 5 hits. It needs a few more. And there, it's looking nice and kind of paddled, we call that. It's kind of paddled out there. A little wider there at the ends. So that's all we're going to use the jewelry hammer for. So I can move that out of the way. And now what we want to do is shape this into a ring shape so we can wear it. And what we like to do is find something around the house that a ring fits on. So you'll take your ring off, go around the house until you find something that's the perfect size to fit your ring on. Here's my regular ring, fits right on here, so that's my size. Yours might be a smaller Sharpie, or if you want to wear it on your thumb, you might choose a Marks a Lot, some bigger marker. We're going to use this as a mandrel. If you have a mandrel, of course you can just use your mandrel. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to try to bend it around the mandrel. I'm calling the Sharpie a mandrel. I'm not going to try to bend it starting at the end. The ends are harder now because I've hammered them. So it's easier to start at the center. I've got the curve going around the Sharpie, and I'm going to hold it with my thumb here and bend one end around. It takes a little bit of elbow grease, but you can do it. And flatten one side down. And then I'm going to take the other end and bend it around and flatten it down. So now you can see that this is the kind of shape we want we're looking at this is the same kind of ring. This is the kind of shape we want for the ring. But it's hard to bend these ends all the way down because they're hard from hammering and they're a little bit pointy. So for this last bend, what I'm going to do is get my chain nose pliers, which are my flat pliers, and I'm just going to grab the end, the paddle there, and bend it around. So now it has that nice curve shape. I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to grab the little paddle and curve it. I can also pull these apart a little bit at this time because what we want to do is now put the pearl on top. Here's our pearl, and it's called a coin pearl. It's drilled this way, and we want it to fit on top of these wires. If the wires are too close together, the pearl's going to stick out on both sides. So I'm going to just pull this apart a little bit so it's the right width for our coin pearl. That looks about right. And now all we have to do is attach the pearl to our wire wrap here using the thin wire. The thin wire is 26 gauge. As I said, the higher the number, the thinner the wire. So 26 gauge is very thin. We just cut a piece about 4 inches long for this. And I think it's easiest if you go ahead and put the pearl on the wire right in the center. Then you can hold the pearl on the ring when you do your wraps. And the way we're going to attach the pearl then to the bigger wire spiral ring underneath is we're going to take this end and wrap it around that paddle shape there. So I'm just going to hold this tight and I'm going to go around the paddle there. And one of the things that the paddle did for us is it's wider here than it is where I'm doing the wraps so that the ring won't slide off. It'll be kind of pinched in there. I'm going to do about 5 wraps. And that's about 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do one more wrap. Come up around, and then I'm going to trim that wire with the wire cutters. And I'm going to trim it on top, and that way the pokey end won't be underneath where it's going to touch your ring finger. And then I want to pull this wire tight to do the next wraps. I don't want a piece sticking out on this side like that. That's ugly. I'm going to pull that nice and tight and then push the coin over tight. And now I'm going to do the wraps on this side. Just like we did before, I'm going to go underneath and around. And I'm going to do 5 wraps. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm even going to use my chain nose pliers to pull that wire nice and tight there. And I can push those wraps together with my fingernails and then trim that little end off. And that's all there is to that ring. It's pretty easy and it looks like $1,000,000.